I'm Danelle.
And I'm Andy.
And we're parents and ministry leaders still learning to disciple not only the kids in our own homes, but the kids in our ministries.
So we're having conversations with innovative leaders who are fostering a strong partnership between the church and the home.
This is the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. Welcome back to the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. Today, Andy and I are joined with special guest Paula Mazza. Hi, Paula. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm hanging out with you two beautiful souls. It's a good day.
That's right.
It's so good to see you, Paula. Would you just tell those that are listening or watching just a little bit about you? How do we know you? Just a little bit what life looks like for you.
Yeah. Well, I am married to the love of my life. I have 4 adult children that I am blessed to be called mom by. I have a plethora of bonus children that are just the people that my kids have chosen and we get to embrace and have as a part of our family, and that's wonderful. I have an incredible, beautiful, spunky little 1.5-year-old granddaughter who is
Oh,
fun.
I love it.
And I know, yes. And then so that's kind of home. I have a dog, 14.5-year-old. We call her grandma. She's fading, but she's great.
Grandma.
She's really
Okay,
working hard.
Wait,
Yeah.
so the dog is called Grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, her name
But
is
you-
Josie.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you are a grandmother. What is your grandmother name?
Oh, okay. So my mom was Grammy, and my kids all wanted me to be Grammy, and I'm like, I can't be Grammy. My mama's Grammy, like that. There's
Right.
only one,
Right.
and I know there's
Right.
a million other Grammys out there in the world, and I know you're
Sure.
all wonderful, but
Sure.
I cannot be my mom. And so I knew that my husband wanted to be called Pop, and that kind of morphed into Pop Pop. So he's Pop Pop. So I'm like, okay, well, if he's Pop Pop, then it like, as I was thinking about it, every like speck of goober in me, just goofball, was like, oh, I need to be Lolly so that we can be Lolly and Pop Pop.
Lolly. Oh my goodness.
That's adorable.
I don't think I
Yeah.
know any lollies.
I don't know any
Well,
lollies.
There you go.
The
I
one
certainly
and
don't.
only
Yeah.
Paula
The
Mazza
one and
is
only.
lolly.
Now you're going to get calls from all the lollies in the world. Like, excuse
Exactly.
me,
How dare
I came up with
Yeah.
it first. Yeah.
Yeah. The number one name of our podcast listeners is probably Lolly. So
Lolly.
they're all
Well,
going
and
to
what-
email after the show.
Right. The funny thing is that she calls me Lala right now because my name is Paula, and then that's just what comes out of her mouth.
Oh,
is
sure,
Lala.
sure.
Lala.
And so we'll
Cute.
see. I'm trying to move her
Yeah.
slowly towards Lolly. But
need to
Lolly,
condition her.
Lala. I
Yeah.
know. Get it right, kid.
What a sweetie.
Lolly and
She's a
Pop.
love.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
It sounds like you all would own like your own like roadside like fruit stand or something like
I
Lolly and
was just
Pops.
thinking that.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but that's
amazing.
not you don't run a fruit stand.
No. No.
You serve in ministry. Tell us about that.
That's similar.
Yes. Kind of same thing. Same thing. There's fruit. I'll tell you, I have been in my position. So I am the director of children and preteen ministries at Solana Beach Presbyterian Church, which is a kind of a sleepy beach town, surf town in Southern California, really right on the beach, maybe a couple miles from the beach.
Oh,
And it's actually the church that I've been at for my whole life. No, that's not true. It's a church I've attended since I was 10 years old.
oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yes. And I'll tell you, it's funny. I have to tell you why we started attending, because I'm an only child. I lived with my mom. My parents divorced when I was in 4th grade. And so shortly after their divorce, we were just kind of exploring churches, and we started attending a non-denominational church, which was great. But it met at our local YMCA, which totally worked for most people.
Yeah.
You know, my Sunday school class was in the women's locker room. So I have part of my faith formation is marching around singing Father Abraham around the women's locker room and wondering why on earth is there a drain? And like, what is this hole in the middle of the floor? I don't understand. But also like thinking, this is amazing. Like the bathrooms are
Right.
right there. We can just, so much access, and it's kind of a
Your
wonderland in here.
your
You know?
your small group leader was like, "Okay, kids, like for today's activity, we're just folding towels. We're folding
That's right.
towels.
That's right. That's
Why do we
right.
have to
But
fold so many towels?"
I don't understand. But they're so warm.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah. So my mom,
you left
well,
the
my mom,
women's locker room class.
yes, because my mom, for some reason, I was 10 years old. I don't know why she was thinking about this, but my mom decided that she did not want me to get married at the YMCA. And so she
Oh,
started
sure,
looking for churches that were established in a
sure.
established building. Yeah. And anyone
No,
out
I
there
think
married the YMCA?
yeah, Danelle. I think
Good.
we need to say if you got married at the YMCA, we love it. We
Yeah.
love it,
All
right?
about it.
But that was not for Paula's mom.
No, it was
No,
not for my mom.
but
So we
we
started
listen and we
attending.
don't judge.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Unless you're my mother.
Oh,
It's
that's a
okay,
different
Grammy.
episode, Paula.
It's
Yeah, that's a
okay.
different
It's a different
episode.
episode. Yeah.
Grammy had her reasons. It's fine.
That's right. She had her reasons. Bless her heart. Yeah. So anyhow, we started attending Solana Beach Presbyterian Church, and yeah, the rest is history.
I love it. And so
What was the
you are
question?
the director of well, you're the director of children and preteen. And I remember
Yes.
having a conversation with you and you talking about how that inclusion of and preteen was really
Oh yeah.
important to you. Tell us
Yes.
about that.
Yeah. So I was actually hired as early childhood coordinator, which at the
Oh, right.
time my heart was already on fire for preteens, and
Hmm.
I knew that that's where God was leading me, but for some reason it felt like a faithful yes at that time,
Sure.
and so I accepted. And
So wait,
over the
he heard your prayer to be in preteen ministry and got it mixed up and put you in preschool ministry.
preschool,
Yeah.
preteen, I mean, there's
God
Yeah.
some
doesn't make
similarities.
mistakes,
He doesn't.
Andy.
He doesn't. There was a journey there, but you
There's a
found yourself
journey.
He's like,
eventually in
Yeah.
preteen.
not yet. Let's see how you handle
Yeah.
the preschool.
No, it was really funny because I came I came in just open to what God had for me, but I had already been volunteering in they were trying to like form a youth group and kind of figure out what does that look like for this age. And so I continued to volunteer there while I was working as the early childhood
Oh, nice.
coordinator. And I
Mm.
got a lot of grief for that because in theory you weren't supposed to volunteer in a different department while you're doing
Sure.
this, and like it just
Sure.
pay wise it gets messy and whatever, and I didn't care. I
Right.
was like, I don't,
Sure.
fine,
You
if you
didn't.
don't want me to volunteer here, then I'm no longer the right person for you doing this over here.
Right.
Right.
Hmm.
And which is
Yeah.
fine
He
with me.
needed that.
So
Hmm.
absolutely, absolutely. But over the course of about 4 years, we were just in this wild transition period in children's ministries, and I found that it was God just like shaking and shifting and sifting and moving these people here, and it was really wild to witness this path emerge. And before long, I found myself leading preteens. And so I started out as a preteen coordinator, still part time. And then we had a new children's director that recognized that what I was doing was really no different than what was happening with junior high, which has the same amount of grades, which has the same
Right.
Hmm.
intent, but is a director level job. And
Right.
so because they recognized this, they advocated for me, and really not for me, but for this position, for the importance
Right. For
of
those
this
kids. Yeah.
space for those kids. And so then I found myself a full-time preteen director. And then when that person like 8 years later, when that person moved on to his next call, I was invited to come in and be the director of all of, sixth grade and below children's ministries. And I
Yeah.
said, yes,
Mm.
I will absolutely do it. But here's the condition: you have to recognize that preteens are different than children's ministry. Preteens ministries is different. So,
Mm.
yes, I will
Amen to
come
that.
in,
Yeah.
but we are
Yeah.
renaming this department Children's and Preteen Ministries. And there you go.
Mm.
I love it. I love
Mhm.
it. I love it.
Yeah,
So what at what point in that journey did you find yourself at Bethel? Because that's where we have gotten to know you,
right,
is
right.
through the master's program at Bethel. So when in the journey did you come to Bethel?
Yeah. So about halfway through, I think I mentioned I've been at my job for 20, going on 21 years. About halfway through, I found myself kind of just lamenting the fact that in order to preach and teach adults, there was some seminary was expected, at least in my denomination, in Presbytery. You have to be ordained. You have to have gone to seminary. Have to have had a MDiv or something equivalent. And it just broke my heart that that was required for adults, but not for kids. Anybody could just come in and teach
Oh, sure.
really whatever. And I think there's a lot of
Mm.
misinformation that is taught to our kids that for their long haul, for their long journey is confusing and can create
Right.
barriers to their
Absolutely.
faith journey. And so
Mhm.
I was like, I don't think everybody has to go to seminary, but at least someone on your team, someone, on your staff that's interacting with these kids, that's kind of overseeing and helping create the environment, should have this. So so
Yeah.
I volunteered as tribute. Pick me. So I and with my church's blessing, I went and found the Masters in Children and Family Ministry program at Bethel Seminary, and I'm so glad I did. I had no idea,
Mm.
not just why how much that would help shape who I was as a minister to kids, but the connection that I made to people like the both of you, and
Right.
how
Right.
that mutual transformation is just
Right.
such an incredible gift, and the deep relationships and deep partnership in this
It is.
crazy ministry that we get to participate in. Yeah,
I know, and we it was a distance program for part of it, but then other
Mhm.
times we were together in the classroom for weeks at a time,
yeah,
and just being in the same space. And even though we're from different parts of the country,
hmm,
working into different denominations, but just being in the same space and saying, "Oh, you too,"
Yeah.
was so crucial for, I think, that phase of my ministry and education, and certainly
yeah.
I'm sure the two of you would say the same thing, because this is a thing that people quit. This is a thing that people
Oh,
get
for
burnt
sure.
out. And they can't
Mhm,
do it anymore. And I think just being able to
Mm.
look in both of your eyes, and others
mhm.
that we went to school with, and our professors, and just say, "Oh, I'm not alone in this,"
Right.
Right,
I think was so
right,
crucial. So,
right. Yeah.
yeah. So right now, working children and preteen, what are you really excited about? What's something that's going really well in your ministry that we can learn from you on?
I'm really excited about the capital trust that I have earned from our
Mm.
congregation. And
Oh yeah,
it's been a long, steady drip.
Yep.
But with this capital that I get to now steward, I've earned um, the opportunity to do some pretty bold things, to
yeah,
try things that I believe are really good for our kids, that our congregation might, or our leadership might be a little slow to connect or understand the importance of. One of those things was I for years before the pandemic, I had been noticing an uptick in anxiety in our preteens, anxiety and depression, and
mm,
parents coming to me with just the fear of God in their eyes. of just like, I don't know what's
Mm.
happening to my kid, but it's terrifying and I don't know what to do. And this was just a repeated pattern. And in my own family, we have a lot of mental health challenges. My youngest daughter has bipolar, and that's part of her wiring. We have depression, anxiety. I myself have ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder, and a really uh, interesting brand of depression where it's called persistent depressive disorder. So I don't get the big sad. I have this like
Mm.
low grade fever that is so normal to me. I
Mm,
don't even know
Mm.
that it's there until my body starts telling me and it starts coming out somatically.
Mm.
So I've always had a heart for mental wellness. I'm starting to notice this uptick in our kids. Standing on top of this mountain waving a flag. I even started
right.
a podcast, and the fact that I could claim the domain preteenmentalhealth.com,
Mm.
like that should
Right.
not be available at this day and age.
Right.
But the
Right.
fact that I was
Right.
Mhm.
able to claim that, it just says there's just so few resources for
Yeah.
preteens that are appropriate for who they are, that really get who they are. And I mean, that's true for curriculum. That's true for figuring out where these kids are developmentally. Like there is just a lack of stuff out there for this early adolescent, late childhood period. But when it
Right.
comes to mental health, it's a whole different toolbox. And so we explored as a church, what can we do to help families navigate the mental health care system, especially families with
Mm.
preteens. And we kind of got to a place where we weren't really sure what the move was. And so I decided, you know what? I have some trust capital here with our congregation for being here a long time, and people trust me. And so I proposed hiring a director under in my department of family wellness. And so I did.
Wow.
I have somebody who is a licensed social worker, and she is her whole job is to maintain this living document of resources in our community. So we're not saying, "Hey, everybody, come to our church and we will fix your problems."
Right.
That's that's not life. That's not real. you know,
Right.
it's so we our approach is, "Hey, let us partner with you. Come, ask your questions. We'll help you know if it's time to ask some different questions. We will sit with you. We will point you towards resources in our community that we know we have as much data as we can get on how long is the wait, what insurances do they take, what here's a name of somebody that you can call." So we try to keep that as broad as possible, and then what she'll do is she'll listen, and then from that list she'll curate a short list for
Mm.
somebody and
That's awesome.
say, you know what, if those don't work, come back, I have more that I can send your way. And then, and I love this so much, she will ask if it's okay if she helps stand the gap between making that appointment and when the actual
Oh,
appointment
wow.
happens. Because think about this, a
Mm.
family in crisis, like I
Right.
have been that
Right.
family in crisis. And when you're like, you feel like your house is on fire and you call and make an appointment and they say that appointment's in 6 weeks, because that's just the
Oh, I know.
reality. 6 weeks, that's 10 years. Like that's an
Right.
eternity. So to have somebody from your church just be with you during that time, I believe that is key to helping our preteens during these wildly formative years where not
For sure.
only are they becoming who they are right now, but what's happening right now shapes who they are becoming lifelong. Research says, and this I I'm not one to just say research says and then give you, not give you
No,
specifics
we
where,
trust
but
you. We trust you.
this is abundant. It's a quick Google and you'll find it. Research says that a person's worldview is pretty much formed by the age of 14. And that
Mm.
doesn't mean it can't change. It just
Mhm.
means that the cement's not pouring anymore. The cement is hardened, and you got to get a
Oh,
Mhm.
sure.
jackhammer to
Ah,
to change
Mhm.
a
what a
trajectory
perfect
here. So
analogy.
think about that, right?
Yeah.
Right? And
Jackhammer,
then
cement,
y-
yep.
no, it's absolutely true. And think about this. So take that fact, add in the fact that all, like, maybe, let me get this right. 50% of all lifetime mental health diagnoses. So anybody, anywhere who sometime of their life shows some sort of mental health crisis, mental illness, something that is diagnosable, 50% those people will start showing symptoms before the age of 14. But
Mm.
the average delay of between symptoms, onset of symptoms, and finding treatment, and I keep checking this because this has been true for a long time. The average delay is about a decade. So think
Oh,
about, what does that mean? What does that mean for a, say, an 8-year-old? You have an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old. Say you have a 10-year-old boy, and it could be a 10-year-old girl. I'm just going to use a 10-year-old boy as an example, who is just presenting
Mhm.
as somebody who is really aggressive. Well, there's a lot of assumptions that we can make, right? Oh, well, what's going on at home? Or
Mhm.
clearly, like there are a lot of
right.
assumptions,
Right.
or just things that we, without really putting a whole lot of thought into it, think might be true. But it's rare
Right.
to consider that maybe, this person is showing early signs of depression, because for children, and especially boys, oftentimes depression looks like aggression. And so if we don't know that, and if we don't know that
It's fascinating.
it could be time, it doesn't mean that's what's going on, but it could be time to start asking some different questions.
Right. Right.
What happens during
So,
these, if he's 8, if they're during those 6 years when worldview
right.
is being formed, and that decade before treatment, what does that mean? What does that say about their entire adolescent experience, which is so
Mhm.
formative? Ah!
It
Yeah, I get a little passionate.
Absolutely. And I think,
We love you for
D
it.
Danelle, this is gonna be one of those episodes where after you say, "Man, you asked a lot of questions, and I couldn't even jump in,"
I'm just
because I'm
soaking it
just
in.
because when you like, Paula, when you say, "Hey, imagine you have this, like, 10-year-old boy." So I have a 9-year-old son, who's living in my house, right?
Mhm,
Um, but I think about the leaders that are listening to this, and we
mhm.
always wanna be very practical, very tactical for them. And so
Yeah.
they may be thinking, "Well, that's great, Paula. I'm glad that you could hire, that person.
Right,
What
right.
do I, as the part-time person who's in charge of all of this, what do I do?"
Yeah.
So what are some practical tips on how to make connections with caregivers in the community, with specialists in the community?
Mhm.
What would you say to somebody?
Yeah, couple things. I would say, one, awareness is everything. Awareness is key. So the first step is start exploring. Start Googling. What are some therapists in my area? What are the hospitals in my area? Who are the pediatricians in my area? Where's the mortuary? Where's the,
Mm,
like, where's the funeral
right,
home in my
right,
area? What mental health facilities are there for, so it's just kind of gaining an awareness of yourself of what there is, and then start asking around. So you can make phone calls to the actual facilities and say, hey, and just to say what you're doing. I'm just starting to build a list of resources, and can you tell me more about that? You can, and this is something you can have volunteers do too. If you have a team of volunteers
right,
that have a heart for this, make this their charge. Make this their thing, is building this list of community resources. And then ask around, hey, I am building, and ask the people that you interact with, I am building a list of therapists. Have Do you, any of you, have any experiences that are with a therapist that was really good that you would recommend to add on my list? Everyone on our list is vetted one way or the other.
right.
So Either it's by word of mouth. There's nothing random
Mhm.
on our list.
Yeah, that's where the trust comes in because you're able to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, you
Mhm.
trust me. Um,
Mhm.
these are people I trust." And
Right.
Yeah.
and because the number one thing, whenever I have parents call and say, "Hey, do you know any counselors?" They want to know,
Mhm.
do I actually know them? Like,
Know them,
have I
Right.
actually spoken to them?
not just
Right.
Um,
Google them. Mhm.
Right.
have I sent other families there before?
Mhm.
And so I'm
Mhm.
able to say, "Oh yes, I met this person and I asked these 5 questions, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
this is why you can trust them."
Yeah.
Or I will say, "I
Yeah.
don't. This is not the person for you because of this."
Right.
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 So
Right.
yeah, the trust
And then
goes a long way.
and then tell people when you send people out, say, if you do end up calling this person, please let me know how it went. Because if it didn't go the way
Absolutely.
we hope so, that's important information too. So,
That's
let
great
us know.
feedback. Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, you
Right.
are
So that's
constantly
one.
curating this list for people.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's ongoing. So that's one. So awareness, and also say for awareness, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, NAMI, is great at resourcing us, and they have something called NAMI Basics that is free, and it's a 6 week online course or a 6 hour online course that just is a general overview of things when it comes to mental health. So if you know nothing, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't even know when it's time to ask different questions. I don't know what I'm looking for. How do I myself am struggling with this. So how am I supposed to enter into this
Mm.
over here? NAMI Basics is a great place for yourself to learn and to even point parents and people in your family. So that's one. The
That's great.
partnerships is another. So also connecting with other churches in your area. What are you guys doing? What
Mm.
do you have? Can we
Of
link
course.
arms and to help our community? And then training, anytime you have an opportunity to learn.
Mm.
There's seminars all the time. If you go to my website, graceinrealtime.com, there is a link of resources there that can point you in the right
Perfect.
direction.
This is, I mean, if this is the only episode of this podcast that someone has ever listened to, I'm so thankful because, I mean, the reality is, and I think we've talked about some of this before, Danelle, but 20 years ago, 30 years ago, our job description was make sure there's enough pipe cleaners, like you got to teach the Bible stories and you got to have
Snacks.
crafts to go along with
Yep.
them. And it was loving on
Mhm.
kids and loving on families and stuff.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
now the toolkit that we have to
Mhm.
lead kids and families in ministry now includes mental
Mental
health,
health.
mental wellness. And
Mhm.
so if you're thinking to yourself, well, I might go to that leadership conference this year, or I might read this
Mhm.
book on children's ministry,
Mm.
Mhm.
add in some of these resources that Paula is talking about
Yeah.
because we really have no excuse not to
Mm.
anymore.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right. I just updated the values of our department to reflect the time we're in.
Right.
Mm.
And one of the key values for the department that I'm leading, while it's under my watch, is
Mhm.
unconditional community, because
Mm.
kids and
Yeah.
families have to show up feeling like they belong to something, and having a safe place to be themselves, to present their most authentic selves for the sake of each other and community, is really for us the most important thing, especially at this stage in the preteen years. So, and
I love
what
it.
people don't realize is that has everything to do with mental wellness. That's because it starts with feeling
Right.
comfortable in your skin, feeling like you belong, again, gaining trust, and and the sense that we don't have this big agenda except to love you and to help you
Mm.
understand that you are so very deeply loved by a good and gracious God. So that's,
Mm.
I would even say for people um out there, find out, learn, train your leaders, and then take a look at your environments, because our goal is to tend the soil, and this soil is really important. This soil is
Right.
really, really, really important. Yeah, for growth.
I love that. Paula. I'm just curious.
Mhm.
So, as you've been sharing all of these things in ministry, things you're passionate about, what would you say to one of the leaders who is kind of ready to throw in the towel and
Mhm.
think, either they're not willing to learn or they're not willing to, maybe they're not, maybe that's not how they're feeling, but they're just tired and
Yeah.
everything is piling up. Maybe their own mental wellness is
Mhm.
unhealthy. What would you encourage them with? What would you tell them?
I would invite them into a space of noticing, learning, discovering how much Jesus loves that individual person,
Mm,
that person that is struggling. I would invite them to look at their margins, to explore the what's going on with their soul. And that doesn't mean that well, if your soul is well, then you'll always be in ministry. I mean, that's not what I'm
Sure.
saying.
right.
But here's the thing is that our kids grow up in systems, right? Family systems, church systems,
Mhm.
school systems, community systems, government system, like all these systems. Well, who creates the systems? It's us.
Mhm.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
us. So if we're not tending to ourselves and digging deep into our own wellness and our own well being, then
Mhm.
how can we expect to have what we need or what is required to extend out to others?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head in that. I think we try to outrun our stress. I think we try to outrun our frustration. We try to outrun our fatigue. And
Hmm.
your advice is pause, be still,
Hmm.
speak with God,
Hmm.
listen.
Listen.
And I love that. I love
Hmm.
that. So in the midst of some heavier things that we've talked about, um, and I think the weight that we feel as leaders on this job that we have, this calling that we have to work with kids and families and students, it has a lot of joy. It has a lot of lightness to it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Danelle and I often will share stories with each other that are like, I cannot believe this happened. If I write a book, I have to put this in there. Do you have a story like that oh man, I should have written this down?
Oh, I have lots of stories.
Yes, we
But I'll
knew it.
tell you
We believe that.
something. I'll tell you something recent that happened that just delights me to no end. So we have a pretty big open space that is the room that we do ministry in, and then we have a couple little breakout rooms that stem off of that. And we really encourage our kids to own the space. So there's not a lot of like we don't have it all pre-decorated or pre-themed or like we don't have any of that
Sure.
stuff. We just have this space for kids to be in and then encourage them to take ownership of it. And so we had we have this show that we do every year, and it's called my youth group is called Fuel, and this little production is called Fuel's Got Talent. And
Nice.
what it is it's our kids. Just I mean, it's as little rascals as it gets. It's our kids coming up with, and they have 3 minutes, 3 minutes max to show us what they got, whatever it is, whatever it is. And so they can come in and show it. But it's not just kids doing stuff. We have the kids do everything. And we take this is a 3 week journey altogether. So we have one week first week that we call taking care of business, where they decide if they're going to do an act. Are they going to be behind the scenes? Are they going to MC? Are they going to run a concession stand? Are they going to do marketing and greeting? Are they going to lead by sitting in the audience and cheering on earnestly everybody who performs? Like,
Sure.
it's just all these different kinds of leadership. And then we go straight from that to the next week is our dress rehearsal. And I'll tell you, the show itself would maybe, like, if we just did it straight through, would maybe last 20 minutes. at the most.
Right.
But we put in, the kids put in jokes in between and buffer, and then we really let them own what this is going to look like the night of. And the whole goal is that the night of the event, us leaders are really not involved. The
Right.
kids are the ones that do everything. They're welcoming, they're running, and then we're just kind of positioned for support if
Mm.
needed, but not necessarily. And it is annually my favorite thing that we do. And the last one that we did, we have these two twins who their act was they love Rubik's Cube. They sat next to each other, each of them having one hand on the Rubik's Cube
Oh, wow.
Oh
and
my
solving it
gosh.
together. And then they're just like the
Wow.
sibling bickering. Wait, why are you doing that? That's not the, like it was hilarious.
Well, I
Yeah.
love the ownership. I love the way
Yeah.
that they're taking just complete ownership of the space, and
Mhm.
again, that goes back to trust. They trust that when they show up, they're going to be welcome there. They're going to be
Mhm.
safe there. They're going to be
Mhm.
known there, and they're going to be
Mhm.
challenged there to really do something and use their imagination and think and
Mm.
create. And it's just
Yeah.
such a beautiful picture that you have painted of what ministry can look like.
Well, and I'll tell you, it sounds like it's this kind of fun thing that we happened into, but it's actually very strategic because this is the age where kids start trying things on in terms of their own faith ownership.
Mhm.
Right.
So the more yeses, the more space we can give them to try, explore, and go for it. This is actually a very strategic part of our helping kids own their own faith.
My wife is a middle school teacher, and I often,
Mm.
when I tell people that, they go, "Oh, really? Oh
You
my
feel
goodness,"
bad for her?
and it's just, yes, there are people who are drawn to this phase of life, and we need those
Yeah,
people. So, Paula,
we
thank you
do.
for standing in the gap and
Thank
serving the
you.
way that you're serving. But man, what a treat it has been to catch
Mm.
up as friends and leaders today. So, thank you for all that you've shared. I'm encouraged. I'm challenged. I'm not like leaving here going, "Oh man, the weight of this." I'm
Yeah.
leaving here saying, "Hey, we have a God that goes with us."
Mhm.
And he is going to equip us
Mhm.
to meet these kids where they're at, and that is
Mhm.
coming straight from
Absolutely.
your energy and your posture. So thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us. We hope that this is an enjoyable conversation. If you know someone who would benefit from this conversation, please share it along with them. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a comment. If you have a specific topic that you would love to hear on the podcast, we would love to cover it. Have a great day.